Hi, I'm Ryan Lawler. I'm here. I'm live backstage at TechCrunch Disrupt with Dave Morin, founder of Pat.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. You just got out of your keynote session or your interview up there. I want to bring things back to sort of the very beginning and how you think about this. When you launched, Facebook was already huge, Twitter was already huge, LinkedIn was big. Why even do a new social network? Like, why did you think that there was a need for another network, and how do you differentiate from those that were already out there?
It came from thinking about mobile quite a lot. Well, I would say two things. I spent a lot of time at Facebook, and at Facebook we spent a ton of time thinking about a variety of different use cases and contexts and things. And so one of the things that I was the most interested in was, I've been a participant in every social network, every internet service, from the Gopher stuff in the early days of the internet to IRC to BBSs to various forum software, AOL, all these different things throughout the whole time we were growing up. And one of the things that I remembered the most about working on or being a participant in each one of those was that there's always this feeling in the very beginning of sort of intimacy, and you feel like you're meeting new people, you're learning more about some people, you're developing new relationships, or maybe deepening relationships with the people that you already have. And so kind of one of the big ideas behind Path was the idea that we could create that feeling and sort of keep it over time. And so that was a big part of it. The second thing I would say is, if you look at how people use mobile phones, you tend to have less than 20, maybe 10. T-Mobile always talks about your fave 5. You really don't have that many people on your favorites list, right? And so we kind of looked at mobile as this medium which people use to communicate and to manage and maintain the relationships with the people that are closest to them. And so a big part of why we decided to sort of take this strategy with Path was that we looked at it and we said, we've got this great professional network in LinkedIn. We've got this great way to share information and tell stories on Twitter with the world. And with Facebook, I've got the best social network. I can go to parties. I can meet new people. I can talk about my wedding or my new baby or whatever, right? I can use it for dating if I'm single. But the one thing that we sort of thought we're missing was something that was focused on family, something focused on your closest friends, your closest family. And my co-founder and I are both from small towns.
Okay.
And he's from a small town up in Dustin Moreau, my co-founder. Right. He's from a small town up in northern British Columbia of 5,000 people.
Okay.
My hometown is, I'm from the capital of Montana, Helena.
Okay.
And it's has about 50,000 people. And so both are relatively small towns in the grand scheme of things. And they're both very community-driven, small town, family. Family is sort of the backbone of the social network in a small town. And so both Dustin and I sort of desired this more home-centric, family-centric social network, because we just felt like it didn't exist. We had no good way to take the photos on our phone and share them with our family other than over SMS and email, right? So more often than not, we actually say that our competition is not anybody that's doing anything else in the social networking world. It's actually SMS and email. We're going and creating a better experience for sharing these important moments of your life. These things that you spend your time doing with the people that you look to for support, the people you look to for guidance and love in your life. And so that's kind of those. I guess those are a couple of the reasons why we decided to do this.
Okay, so you're not really focused on sort of the big, fast, viral growth, right? You want to build engagement, you want to build community.
Yep.
So how do you measure success, and how do you determine whether what you're doing is working? How do you even get users on the platform, since the number of people that they'll connect with is already limited?
Well, there's really two ways to think about growth, I think, in today's internet. One is syndication-based viral growth, where you create a user experience which encourages the user to create some kind of content, whether that's a better photo or a better video or some kind of new type of content that you haven't been able to create before, and then syndicate it onto as many networks as possible, right? So you see this experience a lot, right? Where create some new type of content, and then you can share it out on Twitter and Facebook and everything you've ever been a member of,
right?
And be sure to add the via, whatever your app's name is, and then that creates a certain type of growth, and that can be very, very viral, right? You can really shoot up, especially if you're leveraging current versions of the Facebook platform or whatever.
It can also be really spammy, though.
Yes, absolutely, and it can also be very short term, right? It can sort of shoot up and then really drop off a cliff. That's why it's important to know what you're doing, right? The other side of the equation is sort of pursuing much more organic growth, which is to say, you're joining this new network. This is a special context, right, where you're supposed to interact in a certain way, right? So if you think about walking around a city, right, you go to a church, there's a certain type of people you want to bring into a church. You go into your office, there's a certain type of people you want to bring into your office, right? It's very contextually oriented, and so with Path, it's all about the fact that we sort of up front say Path is a place for family first and your close friends, and we actually are able to do some really interesting viral growth stuff with that. We can use Facebook or your contacts to help you select the right people with the right last names. And so for us, success is continual growth. We certainly don't, we of course focus on growth, but we really believe that focusing on the right kind of growth for what we want to accomplish, what our goals are, is the most important thing.
So how do you choose what things that you can share on the platform? I mean, you said awake and asleep, which is something that I don't use. I'm a pretty frequent Path user. Was your number 3, but it seems very counterintuitive. You almost didn't add it into the platform.
Well, we like to call Path a personal network. It's a more personal social network, sort of like LinkedIn is a professional network. And so when you look at LinkedIn, you see things like resumes and job listings and types of content and sharing experience, which is very much akin to the workplace or conferences. And so we think about it the same way. What would you expect in your home, right? What would you expect in your personal life? And so a lot of the types of content we enable users to share has direct influence or impact on people's personal lives. So when you're hanging out in your house with your significant other, you definitely know when they go to bed, right? When they wake up. You spend a lot of time on the weekends going to movies, reading a book, and those types of content are really a conversation that happens amongst families and close friends. You go to restaurants, and so a lot of the use cases and the content that we focus on is really focused on your personal life and nothing else.
Okay, now, but recently you added the concept of ambient awareness, and you added fuel band integration, and it sounds like you're going to be doing a lot more quantified self, sort of automatic update type stuff. Whereas before, everything that you shared, you did so explicitly, you chose to. So how do you deal with sort of the tension between those two types of sharing and how you think about that?
I think it's really hard. And you see this play out on other platforms too. When you connect an app that tweets for you, people sometimes don't like it, sometimes they do. Same thing with Facebook. You see, some apps that are pushing a lot of content through and other ones that don't. The way we look at it is really mobile. We kind of believe that life is now the platform. Your mobile phone is with you when you wake up. It's in your pocket all day. It's next to your head when you go to sleep. And so if we can do interesting things which add value to your path and add value to your friends consuming your path, then we'll do them. But I can't tell you that it's not easy, and it's one of those things where we're going to keep experimenting with it, and we're really bullish on that entire direction, and especially given the number of sensors, something like an average of 15 or 17 sensors on every mobile phone, and so there's clearly a lot to be done, but we're still in early days, so I think we'll keep experimenting.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here backstage at Disrupt, and we're going to go out to Mike Butcher at Startup Alley now.